Well, for more on this story, we're now joined in studio by Mineral Resources Minister, the Honourable Mosebenzi Zwane. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to the programme.
Lord, thanks, Peter, and good evening to the listeners at home.
So, Minister, it's been a busy couple of days. The Interministerial Committee that you chair has been busy for some time, actually. But yesterday, I guess, was when we started to get some sense of the direction you want to go. And one of the things that's come through strongly is that you'd like to request the President to have a judicial inquiry into the state of the banks and the actions that they took with issues such as the Gupta family bank accounts.
Well, let me put this matter straight. As we started with this matter, it concerned the 3,000 people who were losing jobs at Oakbay mine. As a Minister of Mineral Resources, I raised the matter with the Cabinet. We took a decision that an interministerial committee should be established to deal with this matter and ensure that whatever wrongs that are there are corrected. We have since gone our full mile as a committee. We have recommended to the Cabinet our recommendations that will take this matter forward and lay it to rest, including the issues that we really have discovered when we were talking to people that will necessitate that indeed we should do further investigation and be able to lay the matter to rest. And we believe as those investigations will take place, everybody, including the banks in South Africa, will cooperate and take that opportunity to put their side and ensure that the people of South Africa, a democratic country, are treated as such, not as we are experiencing now.
All right, we'll get into the details just now, but just one thing that we need to clarify, because there was a statement that was made and your spokesperson actually today created the impression that this recommendation was resolved by Cabinet. Was it resolved by Cabinet or was it resolved by your committee to have this judicial inquiry?
Well, let me say, first and foremost, I have a problem on the reaction about this judicial inquiry. People must be happy that people are going to come forward and put their side of the story so that we lay this matter to rest, so that we don't keep on pointing fingers at each other. The truth must be known by the people of South Africa. But having said that, the IMC, which is the Interministerial Committee, has only the right to recommend. They can't take a decision on the judicial inquiry. Only the President has the powers of creating such a committee. We have given our report. We will await what happens, and we are not in a position to discuss the details of the report that has been since approved by the Cabinet at this platform.
All right, so it was a misstatement then that this recommendation had come from Cabinet. It is just the IMC.
The Cabinet has actually approved our recommendations, and we have since agreed.
So this is a Cabinet resolution then, if they've approved it?
I'm saying this issue of a commission, not even a Cabinet can actually approve it.
Okay.
The President is the one and the only one who can take such a decision. As an IMC, the chairperson of the IMC, we saw it fit that this matter should be investigated further, because what we have discovered in the preliminaries is shocking to tell the people of South Africa.
Can you tell us what you've discovered?
We are not in a position to do that because we still want to engage further and give all those parties that are involved a fair chance of putting their side of the story.
Without going into detail then, can you say that there's been some criminal activity on the side of the banks in any respect? Did they break any laws or any rules?
Well, we can say we have sufficient evidence that will necessitate at this moment that we further investigate this matter and lay it to rest.
Can't you bring in authorities like the police, like the Hawks, that investigate issues such as this? Why a judicial inquiry?
Well, what we are saying is that as we were calling people to come and listen to them. Other institutions did not abide by the request. They simply stayed out. In our view, it is only the judicial inquiry that will be able to summon people to come and put their side of the story, because we can't, in this democratic state, have people, when we have an elected government sitting, having a committee that has been approved by cabinet, just to refuse and come into the committee and giving their side of the story.
You spoke to the banks though, didn't you? What did they tell you as you inquired about their actions?
Well, I can say we did not speak to all the banks, because some of them did not heed to the call as we are requesting them to come.
These banks are supervised by other authorities, FSB, I mean, even the Reserve Bank looks at the work that they do. Isn't there enough supervision of these banks to not to warrant another inquiry? I mean, if they're complying by all the rules that the supervising authorities have, do we need to be looking at them even further?
Well, what we are finding is contrary to that. Because if any institution, banking institution in South Africa can wake up the next morning having decided to close anybody's account without taking any legal step, whether that person is a criminal or that person has been found guilty, but just close, and all the banks follows the same, and everybody else follows the same. It means the democracy we are in is not the democracy. We are saying as the committee, there are issues that we need to correct going forward and ensure that everybody that feel that they have not been treated fairly have a recourse in terms of what they deem.
Do you have any idea why the banks are doing this? You must have some suspicions.
Well, as I've said, that we have made our recommendations and our finding. At this moment, I do not wish to make it public, because the agreement is that we should lay this matter to finality, and at that point, we'll be able to come back to the public and announce our findings.
22 years down the line, this system has been working and there have been no complaints. Why now? Some people might say it's just because the Guptas are involved. Suddenly government wants to get involved in the story with the banks. And I'm sure that it's not the first business that have had their bank accounts closed by banks.
Well, we're not only looking at this family of Guptas. In fact, if you check how many people have been prejudiced in terms of what has happened, and other people who have been, their accounts have been closed, you will then realize that something is not right, and we need to correct that thing. If something wrong happens 20 years down the line and we are here, we can't say because it's 20 years we cannot act. As government, we need to give all the people of South Africa a fair chance of doing business equally. If we close my bank account today, it means economically you are saying to me, you can't be active.
The finance minister was meant to be part of this IMC, and I understand that he didn't show up for these meetings. Why is that?
Well, I am not in a position to discuss our meetings as we had them as a committee. We have sent our recommendations to the cabinet. Cabinet has since approved some measures that will take us forward.
The finance minister, by the nature of his position, he would have had important inputs in a committee such as this.
The finance minister is part of the cabinet and is also part of this committee.
But he didn't show up to the meeting.
He had a chance to be part of the cabinet, so he is part of the resolutions of the cabinet as I speak to you.
All right. We just heard a clip from there saying that, you know, the foreign lenders who are saying that they're cautious about lending to state-owned enterprises. We've seen the markets react to some of the things that have been going on in government recently. And I'm just wondering, do we need something like this in an environment that we're in now? Are we not susceptible to more market trauma if we carry on with a judicial inquiry such as this?
Well, we always preach issues like we have to fight corruption where it exists. We are in a democratic state where when we see something wrong happening, we should not be afraid of correcting those things because markets will react. In fact, markets should understand that we are living in a democratic state where all the people must be treated equally.
Will a state bank solve all these problems?
That has been a decision of government a long time ago. As we went on, we saw it fit to raise that issue, and it is one of the decisions I'm sure that will be implemented without looking back, because we think that is the correct decision.
All right, Minister Zwane, thank you very much for joining us and giving us a little bit more insight into what the workings of the IMC has been and the decision that's been approved by Cabinet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter.